Anyway, we're in the studio this morning and now we're talking sports. And with me, I have Mr. Richard Boateng, who's the Accra East Football Association chairman. And we're talking about the Colts football. Now, I see them every weekend running up and down the beach roads on their way to their various games and fixtures that happen. But do we know that these are the next crop of players that could potentially be wearing our patriotic colours and representing for us on the world scene? So here's a quick story. Watch this and we'll be right back with our discussion.
Colts football or juvenile football has been part of Ghana's history since the early 60s, engineered by philanthropists and influential people within the communities who had love for the game. It was so popular that every community wanted to have its own Colts team. At the time, it was the main source of entertainment for people within the environs as they gathered around the parks in their numbers to watch matches involving Colts teams. The setting up of Colts teams was popular in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast and Sekondi Takrady. The influx of Colts teams became the breeding grounds for teams to identify and select players for their clubs. High-profile teams such as Accra Hearts of Oak, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Sekondi 11 Wise, Great Olympics and a number of clubs fed on the popularity of Colts football. Things are different. Some time ago, school fields and other playing grounds within the communities served as match venues for Colts football. But these venues have in recent times made way for residential structures and lorry parks, as well as markets, thereby making it impossible to use them as pitches for Colts soccer. We visited the Teshinungwa area to find out how the Colts club in the area are coping with the unavailability of pitches to train and the frustration of more than 8 Colts teams sharing the same pitch.
Very big question, but it's a big question. You take financial aspect to revive the teams, because it looks as if when you are managing a team, a lot of money goes into it, and many people are shifting backwards, and then we have a lot of talent in town, but financial problem, nobody is supporting, and then it's like they are doing their own thing. Yeah, our basic schools. Yeah. When we start from the basic school, then we can get a lot of players to revive the Colts team.
We need to, because in the late 80s and early 80s, Colts pick players from schools, inter-schools, primary schools. They pick them from there and then they send them to the coast. You understand? But now we don't do that. Even nobody even watch inter-schools. Nobody watch inter-schools, and that is where we pick the Colts players from. Because Colts is a basic for, training players. You understand? You teach them how to control and how to pass and all those things, how to position yourself. But now all is lost, and most of the coaches in the Colts teams are not well coaches. They are not well trained. You understand? Yeah.
At this level, Colts players are expected to be taught basic football techniques, but lack of training for coaches at this stage results in poor Colts players. Such Colts players in turn develop without learning the basic ingredients of being a successful footballer: tactical discipline, how to shoot on target, and the movement of the ball, among other things. Football is a game that evolves constantly, and so there are always changes in how the game is played, training methods, and indeed coaching methodologies, as well as changing tactics. We speak to this Colts player who defied the cold weather to be here every morning to train if he's being taught the basic things to become a successful footballer in future.
It's been great, it's been good, and I'll now start my career, I'll now start everything. Yeah, it's really my talent. Yeah, football is my talent. Yeah, and I'm grateful to it.
Government, in partnership with the Ghana Football Association, must have a blueprint for the development of football at grassroots level. There is also no strategy in place to identify talent coming through the school system, right from primary, secondary and tertiary levels. There is so much untapped talent at the schools level that is unbelievable. To quote a few examples, former Black Stars defender Joe Addo was still at Accra Academy when he began to turn into an excellent performer for Accra to Folk, with whom he won the league title in 1990. Michael Essien was spotted at a relatively young age playing for his school. Participation for the St. Augustine school team landed him a place in the Ghana Black Stars squad that placed third in New Zealand in 1999. And today, he is recognized as one of the world's top midfield players. Africa's all-time goal scorer Samoa Gyan also competed in athletics and football for Accra Academy as well. Can this vision materialize with the minister's visits to the Kaneshi Sports Complex and the Winneba Sports College?
Uplifting of this facility will be my first project as Minister of Youth and Sports. Immediately, as I indicated outside, I will invite the engineering regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces for a discussion, and I will commit 1 million Ghana cedis of the ministry's resources for activities to begin. I convened a meeting of eminent persons in football administration, and one of the key recommendations of the group of eminent persons has been to set up soccer academies across the country. And so once we upgrade the pitch, we will set up this place also as a soccer academy. And apart from that, we believe that the facilities will be available for use by Colts football teams that will be trained, and then also I think first and second division teams that I'm told already are using this facility. I want us to have in this country a very, very well resourced and capable center, like you said, where the entire sub-region can come and learn and go back and use our resources to develop their own sporting sector.
If what we hear from the minister is anything to go by, and the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence utilized properly by the FA, then Ghana football will enjoy the glory days it enjoyed in the past. In part 2 of Colts Football, we will look at the role of the Ghana Football Association in all of this, the effect of Colts football on player development, the Ghana Premier League, and the impact on our national team.
All right, so as stated previously, in the studio with me at the moment, I have Mr. Richard Boateng. He's the Accra East Football Association chairman, and we're going to be continuing the discussion about Colts football. Richard, good morning.
Morning.
How's everything?
Not too bad.
Good. All right, now, first off, what's your response to the Honourable Minister's comments and the pledge of 1 million Ghana cedis?
Well, I mean, he pledges to put 1 million Ghana cedis into Ghana football and coast football. Mm-hmm. But basically, to start, he needs to realize to communicate with the people, most people who are dealing with juvenile football. Right. You understand? Where he wants to start from, I don't think is the proper way.
Is the right place.
Because
so where should he be starting from?
Well, he should be starting from districts, regions. You understand? Because you need pitches to play football, right? Not to go and spend that money, you needs to go into districts or areas, and start putting up pitches, right. Not in schools, in separate away from schools, because normally when we play coast football and we are playing leagues, the schools sometimes interferes. Yeah. It interferes with the school. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't allow us to actually play, football there when we want. So they need to actually put up pitches.
So the basic infrastructure, the parks,
the parks
should be done.
like what they do in Europe. Yeah, basically in the Western world.
There's been mentioning in the video as well of getting down to the primary schools and start the training there and the setting up of soccer academies. I know in Europe they start the soccer academies very, very early, and have brought forth talents such as Rooney, Theo Walcott, and all the rest of it. What do you think stopping us from doing that?
Oh, basically in Europe, they have school leagues.
Yeah.
We went to school in Europe. I went to school in England, right? And then in the private boarding school, and we used to play football. We used to go play against schools and that.
Yeah.
So that is there already. But we still have youth football, which basically the football clubs do groom the talents, right? So we are picked into the football clubs, which they will groom us, but not the schools.
Right.
So basically, they need to basically, and we all know that we have in Ghana Football Association, which is the region. We've introduced no school, no football program.
Right.
That means we have forms to take into schools, and the students will register. So each player or each kid from 13, 15, and 17
has to be in school.
Has to be in school.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. What we need to do is basically concentrate on the clubs, because it's the clubs that actually nurtures the future Black Stars. If you look at the ACNs, the Yeboahs, all of them, they went through coast football.
Yeah.
So it's not the schools that actually do train the footballers. It's the clubs.
Okay.
So they should put money into the clubs more than actually putting all their minds on schools.
All right. I mean, so for instance, you mentioned certain players, Samajan, Issy, and the rest. They came through the same hierarchy in regards to playing on the coast. Don't you think that they should also be doing something for juvenile football or Colts football?
Well, I think so, but it sounds like the charity begins at home.
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't put enough attention on our youth, I mean, we are too much individualistic. Everybody's thinking all about themselves and their family alone. We don't really think in general that, look, these are our children. I mean, Ghana football does so much for Ghana, actually selling Ghana abroad. You understand? And we need to know that we need to put everything or much more into our youth system. We don't do that enough.
Right. So we're focusing too much on the actual Black Stars themselves.
Yes, it's too much, because obviously it's the under 20 that feeds the Black Star.
Yeah.
If you look at the record, right, most of even this World Cup, they did.
Yeah.
All the players who performed were the players who won
the under
20 World Cup.
That's right.
You understand? So statistics don't lie. Clifford Agwaji, who was the under 20, the last World Cup we played, he was the third, the best player who was the bronze. When he was 13, 2010, 2010, we had a competition at WA. He was the best player. He won the competition. We came out the best player
at the age of 13.
At the age of 13, and now he represented under 20.
Yeah.
And he was the third best player. So statistics don't lie, and that was competitions that he went through. But most of the time, as you can see in Ghana football, we don't have a national under 15.
That's right.
Okay, under 17 every year we hop and chop. That means we go scouting. But we should have a basic under 15 who will graduate and we put in. We don't have that before they move on to the under 20s. So we have a big problem here. How can Ghana football move forward if we don't have that structure? Okay. Let's say I want my son. Let's say I want my son to play football, or maybe get into Ghana Black Star in the near future. What is the criteria?
Yeah. So what would you like to see from the GFA now then, in regards to the setting up of these, the fundamentals, getting the parks ready and all the rest of it? Because do you think the 1 million cities would actually be able to do what is required?
No, I don't think this is enough. I think the GFA should look into regions, so that they set up regional youth, youth 13s, U15, U17s, okay, and then maybe U19s, so that every region will have its own setup,
right,
representing their region,
right,
so that we can play in the competition, and that's the way we can pick out the national teams, starting from U13s, U15s, U17s, and then U19s, let's say. Without that, we can't do anything. That's what's been happening. That's what they are doing in Europe.
Right.
You understand? So if they can set up that, and also through that, that will also let the media pick up. Because if there's competitions, then they can also do something for us, and then we can generate something from there, and then also we can pick up. But if the region is playing, we can almost then have a look. Or if there's competitions like that, and then they can start building stadiums, mini stadiums, within each region, in districts, each region has their own national stadium, so it doesn't really matter, you know. But in districts, Osu, like in Accra here, Osu will have their own small mini stadium. You have Labadi having their own small mini stadium. That will encourage, because we play leagues, we play competitions, but we don't have pitches to even showcase. This season, with my district, I'm the only district who's organized the first FA Cup for the youth, first youth cup, which they do in England. We don't do it here. It's always about the second division, first division, Premier. And what's happening with the youth? Nothing. So I've organized, since I've been in district chairman for the past 3 years now. Right. And as soon as I got in, I started with the youth FA Cup.
So there's going to be an FA Cup tournament?
Yes, we did it last year. Okay. We did it this year. You know, and we are going to do it again. You know, we just finished it. So these are the competitions that actually do groom our youth. Without that, forget. Because as you can see, each tournament, World Cup, is a knockout.
Yes.
It's not a league. So if Ghana is going to represent, any team is going to represent Ghana, it's a tournament that they're going to represent. And we don't have anything that teaches them how to behave, how to demonstrate, you understand? So we don't have anything like that. So how can we?
I understand you fully. Okay, so let's talk about the parks ever so quickly, because we were talking about this the other day.
Yes.
Akweje Park, other parks, beaten by the rain, all the rest of it. How is it that the youth are actually able to, I mean, for you have first-hand experience, to train or even become skillful players with such bad conditions?
It's difficult. You know, it's the sheer will of love of football, basically. I mean, the encouragement is very low when it comes through to the youth setup. Most of these coaches, as they were saying before, you can see when they were saying that, have no proper training. You know, they don't go through certain courses unless for the love of football that they are doing. Most of these children are being encouraged, and sometimes they are even lied to, which is sad.
By who?
By their coaches.
Right.
Because they don't have the funds, but they need to tell them something.
Yes.
You know, and it's all psychologically not good for them. We have a lot of talent. Most of them just give up because of all this not putting enough funds into it. Look at the pitch that you saw that they were playing on. Basically, it's a school pitch. The schools don't have that funds to be able to do it. So maybe do it with it. You know. So if the GFA can actually start putting some money in, the government, you know, can work with the GFA, and the monies that is supposed to go to those places will get there. Because I'm sure there are some funds donated to those kind of, but they don't get it. It doesn't really get to where it's supposed to go.
Okay, but from what you just said, I mean, even if the funds come and we are able to set up the parks, we still have an issue with the coaching and the people who are training these athletes. Obviously, that's going to have a detrimental effect, because even if we have very nice parks, really great grass, we're not going to have the caliber of players that we can push forward to the national team. What should we be doing about the training?
Oh, the training, I mean, if you have good pitches, good facilities, you know, and with good coaches, which they've gone through the right, you know, have the right certificates, coaching certificates, you know, gone through the right courses. Then I think we can, you know, get the right players. You know, we can supply the right players with right temperament, you know, right behavior, all right from the start. You know, because players, one thing about players is that if they see that you're not truthful, believe me, you're not going to get the best out of them. That's one thing about players. If players see that you are not truthful with them, then forget. You're not going to get the right player. You're not going to get. So I think we have to start from that. Good training, you know, good facilities, you know, and you know, treat them that they are human beings. Don't just treat them like, oh, they are nobody. You know, treat them that like they are human beings. You know, what is due to them, let them have it.
Right.
Yes, because in Ghana here, that's our problem that we face in general, maybe in Africa in general. We are not truthful, you know, and what something is supposed to go, they don't go there. Right. You know, we are too individualistic. Let's start thinking more about our youth. It's very, very much important, because statistics don't lie. You understand? I ran a district. You know, it's very hard. You know, running this kind of district, because even most of these coaches don't have the right training. You know, because obviously they don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, they are struggling. You know, most of these clubs, they have about 40 or 50 players under their wing with no support. And what they'll say is that, oh, you are running your own club. You know, you're going to sell the player. But how many players? I mean, you're talking about juvenile football. How many players in Africa you're talking about? Even in Europe, they are struggling. In Africa, you know. So
now you've mentioned a lot about statistics. What statistics exactly is it that you're talking about?
I'm talking about I'm talking about, you know, players that have, you know, gone through the youth system. You know, that have gone on and played for the under 17s through to under 20s, and then they've been promoted to the national team.
How many of it?
No, Dominic Adia, 2009. Neo Datalante, 93. Dede Ayew, 2009. Daniel Ado, 93. You understand? You have Christian Jan, Stephen Appiah, 97, 99. You understand? It goes on. And then you have Derek Boateng, 2000, ACN 2001. You know, Suleiman Tari, 2001. All of them play for national under 20.
Yeah.
Yes, so it goes on, and then those players are players that were groomed through the coast.
Okay, but Richard, I mean, we have a tendency to always try and put all of our issues at government's doorstep. From the caliber of players that you just mentioned, and the status that they have now, they're more than capable of, you know, assisting in what you need. Isn't there any call to these people?
Yes. Let me tell you something. What are we actually doing to attract those players to come and do something? Tony, you understand what I'm saying? You have to do something. Let's say we went to World Cup. When we were talking about coast football, putting money, so let's go to the World Cup. Even the minister said, let's go and come back. You understand? Before. Now they didn't put anything down or say, oh, we are doing these projects. So your percentage, you know, let's take some, and maybe we are developing this, we are doing this or that. I don't think these players will say no. If they know that it's for truly, we are going to take this money, we're going to use it for this, they will say no. So, you know, we have to help ourselves. You know, you are sitting there saying, somebody, if I come to you and say, help me, you ask me, what should I help you with?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you bringing on the table? There's nothing like that. And then you expect them to help? No. We have to do something ourselves. We have to start doing projects. You understand? That they know that the monies that they are going to take is going to go to those projects.
Understandable. And I agree.
And then I think we can get stuff from somewhere. We can get somewhere.
Indeed. I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning, Richard. This has been Mr. Richard Boateng, Accra East Football Association Chairman, and doing his bit for the youth of Ghana as well. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.